after joining Dear Asian Youth London, where it's just members of the Asian diaspora who can all connect with each other and relate to all these issues. Hi, I'm Pia. I'm 21. I study English language and literature at the University of Sheffield. My experience as someone from the Asian diaspora, they think, a good Asian is someone who does well in school, just kind of keeps their head down, stays quiet, and is generally very kind of pliant and submissive. Affected me the most socially in terms of some of the friendships I've had, especially coming into third year. I've had to kind of fall out with some people because it was very clear to me that there was an image in their head of me that I am someone who is very nice to the point where I'm kind of a pushover. And I do value niceness. I value kindness above all things. I believe you can be someone who is inherently kind but still firm. But I feel like the notion or like the association of Asianness and kind of submissiveness to make you kind of one-dimensional and palpable to them, whereas like someone that goes against the grain, who is a bit more what they think is the grain, who is a bit more like assertive, or maybe not as academically gifted, they think that's something to be seen as like to look down on. This kind of division between what makes a good and a bad stereotype is what people use to even pit minorities against each other at a time when we really all should be coming together, because at that point it becomes like kind of a battle of oppression, which that should not be what the conversation is about. It shouldn't be about whether or not I am more oppressed or you are more oppressed. It's the fact that we are oppressed as people of color. I love the most about Dear Asian Youth London is that they raise so much awareness for all these things, which is so important, like when hate crimes happen or like current events. But what really drew me to them was that they celebrate identity so much to the point where it was so infectious. They celebrate all sorts of Asian identity, intersectional identities, being Asian and LGBT, for example, or they also acknowledge the international experience, which personally I feel like the international experience is something that is very glamorized with curriculum. I read an article once that there aren't that many people in arts and humanities, for example, be it like history, because history is so kind of, there's a lot of Eurocentrism when it comes to history. So when you don't see yourself reflected in the material, be it through like, for example, academically, like what I just said, or in spaces, like in societies, or in pop culture, such as films or shows, then you just you feel disheartened. You don't see people like you. When it comes to editing pieces and doing research, they really make because you know how Asia is generalized so much, like people don't really realize that there are distinctions. Like East Asians are so different culturally from like Southeast Asians or even South Asians, and they really make a point, to include the difference, because it does matter. So many times like people just think it's just Asia, but Asia is huge. It's never just Asia, and I think that the emphasis they put on that is very important when acknowledging all the nuances with culture and identity, with being multicultural and identity, where I found other like-minded people like me who share the same experiences that made me realize that that even within all this kind of multiculturalness, I can still find a person there who is very uniquely myself.